Welcome everybody here to WORC TV. My name is Braison Collins, and today we are here for qualifying for the Keystone Corner GT3 Challenge finale here, as we see P2 in points Henry Klappert make his way around the track. I believe he may have gotten an X on this lap, so not sure how good of a lap he'll get here in that 34, but as time winds down, looks like we've had 4 people put down laps, and it looks like Henry Klappert will finish this one off here. Looks like he had a little bit of a rough one there. As time winds down, unfortunately, we had a couple guys who can't make it. So we'll pull up the starting grid real quick right here, and we'll see how it goes. Pole position is points leader Brian Zinn. It looks like we have Michael Thorpe right behind him, just a 10th off. Henry Klappert rounding out P3, Jay Mulder 4th, Ethan Harrison 5th. Garrett A. White, Paul Granata, Sean Giroux did not qualify. So we'll see what happens here when all these drivers grid. Looks like we're waiting on Mulder and Harrison to hit the grid. As man, Brian Zinn, he's had a great season here in the Keystone Corner GT3 Challenge, and great to see him on pole here as he looks to try to finish this one off with 3 wins on the 4-race season. Track length a little bit more than 2 miles here, located in Long Beach, California. 11 turns at an altitude of 10 feet right on the beach here on America's west coast. Weather today, it's nice and sunny, pretty cool temperatures though, 65 degrees, 89 degree track temp however, a little bit of wind, 5 mile an hour, mostly cloudy skies right here in the middle of the afternoon here. I guess race info is useless, 45 minutes today. And so per a WORC precaution set, we asked these guys to go single file here for the start due to the hairpin. So Brian Zinn will get to lead us to the green. There we go. They're going to double it up off exit.
Green flag.
And off we go as it looks like the guys back here didn't quite get the memo. And 5th on back is pretty separated here to start this one off. As 45 minutes of racing here. Brian Zinn leads us into the left-hander here. Now into the fountain we go. As looks like Thorpe kind of messes up his corner there. Henry Klappert looking to take advantage here in that 34 as he's trying to get as many positions as he can. The good news for Klappert in that 34 is he has carried Outlaw Racing to the point where they might win the team championship here. Depending on how this race goes, and it's very likely it's in their favor. So Klappert, he'll make the left-hander here, and hopefully he puts himself together with a good race. Jay Mulder here, his Fry Designs teammate who was P3 in points is not here, so Mulder's kind of here trying to carry those guys up to a potential team championship as well, as I believe they're the second closest team. Ethan Harrison, P5, he's got Garrett A. White breathing on his back end here, as we'll see what happens going into this right-hander right here. And it looks like White almost overdrives the corner here as he's trying to stay with Ethan Harrison here for a top 5. Paul Granata back here, P7. He's made a couple of races this season. In fact, I think this is actually only the second one he's made. He gets a little bit of a bad exit out of the hairpin though, and Sean Giroux is right there as Brian Zinn leads early on here. Thorpe, Klappert, Mulder have all kind of single filed themselves out. Ethan Harrison gets a good pull away from Garrett A. White as all these guys stay pretty bunched together here early on, but Brian Zinn definitely the favorite here. He has a pretty sizable points lead, so it would take a lot of effort from Henry Klappert. In fact, that 34 would almost most definitely have to win this thing in order for him to get that championship. But either way, it's been a good season for both of them here, and if Klappert can pull it off with a podium here, that'd be great for him. As, oh, never mind, he's going to spin it. He gets too much of the curbs, and that's actually something I talked to him pre-race. I said, Henry, you can't get on those curbs, man. Those things are dangerous. And that 34 is struggling to get the thing spun around as he's not turning the wheel enough to get it spun around. He's struggling here to get that thing turned around in that 34, and a very costly mistake early on as he'll lose that podium and possibly more. And Garrett A. White now, he goes to the inside of Ethan Harrison. He'll make the pass here, and coming back into the right-hander, Harrison will have to give up that position for now in a flurry of Lambos here, as these guys in the battle for P4 now. As they head into the hairpin here. And oh, Ethan Harrison dumps Garrett A. White. We have a 4-car pileup here in the hairpin. Oh my, that was a little risque as Paul Granata will take P4 now. Harrison 5th, Giroux 6th, Garrett White 7th, and man, Klappert, he took forever to get that thing spun around. As Brian Zinn continues to lead. And Michael Thorpe, he's actually not too far behind Brian Zinn here. Michael Thorpe making his first ever start today. And honestly, if he puts together a good race here, that 134 could be pretty good here early on, as he's one of the guys who, I mean, Sky McGurk has been able to stay with Brian Zinn a little bit here in these races, but nobody's really been able to touch that 73 so far in his Pink Pig BMW. As Jay Mulder, P3. We'll see what happens with Paul Granata here. He narrowly avoided that incident when Harrison kind of got into, he just completely turned around Garrett A. White, and I imagine Garrett A. White has quite a bit of damage from that, not just front end, but rear end, because these are rear engine cars. And Ethan Harrison, he's going to pull it into pit road here after that contact with Garrett A. White. Sean Giroux in 7th, and Klappert still running out the field. So Harrison, an early pit stop here, and I don't believe he will return to the track. He might have a lot of damage on that thing and probably won't want to continue here. As lots of chaos early on, a lot of contact, a lot of self-spins, a lot of mistakes, kind of boiling this whole race together here. As Ethan Harrison is getting serviced on pit road, so he may have damage that needs to be repaired. So Henry Klappert gains a position back. Man, I can't believe that 34 was on the podium and he ate the curb, spun it around. And Jay Mulder riding on the podium right now. He came in here, he said, look man, I'm pretty much just a field filler. And, well, Jay is running P3 right now, so it's going pretty good. And Paul Granata is around, and he's got heavy front end damage as well, as that 04 is backing into the racing line. Oh. I'm not 100% sure what Granata was attempting to do. Looks like he was just trying to get that down pit road right there, but Granata spins early on, and Sean Giroux, I believe he also had a spin. And Henry Klappert is slowly moving himself back up to P5. And man, I am a little confused with all the action that's happened here so far early on. Lots of spins and stuff. But Michael Thorpe, he has not quite lost his gap to Brian Zinn yet. And that's pretty intriguing to me because, I mean, Thorpe is making his first start, so obviously he's making a good first impression as well. And unfortunately, so man, these guys are really having to work their way around the track. And Garrett A. White, he has to close down a pretty big gap to Jay Mulder after getting turned. And that gap was a lot closer beginning of the race, so. And actually, Garrett White right there, he closed a whole second that lap to Jay Mulder. So Mulder up here at the end of the straightaway here. It's going to be interesting to see if White can catch Mulder here, as Garrett White and Jay Mulder each making their first start of the season here in the GT3 Challenge. And man, Garrett White now, he's closed another 3/10 to Jay Mulder. This is going to be an exciting battle here if we see Garrett White catch Mulder here. Mulder obviously paced himself, and Garrett White, look at the way he's pushing it there. He got that rear end stuck out right onto the barrier here, and he's running himself a pretty tight line as he's taking up as much of the track as he can, running it as wide as possible. And man, look at Garrett White. I mean, the way he uses all the track, and then Jay Mulder, he's kind of more, he's running more of a conservative line right there. As you see, Garrett White gets a lot closer to that barrier than Jay Mulder does. And obviously as they go down the back straightaway, that line doesn't necessarily matter too much, but Mulder right here, he gets on the curbs a little bit. He's just not pushing it as hard as Garrett White. Like, look at White. He goes all the way to that wall. And obviously this extra use of track is really helping him here as he's reeling in Mulder. And right here out of the hairpin, that seems to be a corner where you can really gain time or lose time. Some guys pull down. And man, Michael Thorpe, he's still right there with Brian Zinn up front. It's actually the same gap here that Jay Mulder and Garrett White have with each other. So 10 minutes into this race, and Garrett White, he's looking to run down Mulder for a podium here, as that 26 looks pretty quick. And down to 1 second now here between Mulder and Garrett White as we see them go through the left-hander here. And down to the hairpin. Here comes Garrett White. He's catching Jay Mulder. We'll see who gets a better exit off the hairpin. Looks like Mulder got it there, but 0.8 of a second here. White might have the draft of Mulder here, and this is going to be a good battle shaping up. We'll see how defensive Mulder is early on here. As Garrett White, like I said, he runs right next to that wall. He gets a really good corner, and I think that's what's costing Jay Mulder time is Garrett White is being very aggressive right now, and Jay Mulder just isn't. He's playing more of a cautious, conservative strategy here. And Jay Mulder, he almost loops it there, exiting the corner. Good save by him, but he'll just give up that position easily to Garrett White, as White is on a mission right now. He is pretty quick, and he blows right on by Jay Mulder there, who had that little bit of an issue. And back here for P5, there's Henry Klappert, and I think he's definitely mentally feeling it. That mistake, eating the curb and just spinning himself out so early on. He's lucky it was early on, but still, he had a podium. I mean, he was a very quick car. He was definitely top 3 fastest, and for him to end up all the way back here, I mean, he's going to have to fight a lot to gain time on Jay Mulder, who takes a very wide hairpin. Not sure how well that's going to work out for him, as we'll see what happens down the straightaway. We'll see what kind of draft Mulder gets to Garrett White here. As coming into turn 1 here, it looks like Garrett White kind of breaks earlier as he arcs it into turn 1, but like I said, he just uses so much more track than Jay Mulder that it kind of just causes Garrett White to gain more time on him here. As Paul Granata, he broke an axle on that 04, so that is why he is still on pit road serving time. And up front, I mean, we've got two pretty close battles going on. Michael Thorpe, I wouldn't necessarily say this is a battle, but he has actually gained about half a second here in the past lap to Brian Zinn. He closed from about 2.2 seconds to, it was 1.7 at one point. It's now down to 1.8. But Thorpe looks like he's wheeling this track pretty well. And look there, the exit he gets, he puts himself right on that outside wall as they come down the front straightaway. Brian Zinn, he kind of poked it about half a lane to the inside. And I think that's going to be really key here to Thorpe and Zinn battling it out here for this lead. As back here, Jay Mulder, he's still staying very close with Garrett A. White, but ultimately I think Garrett A. White, he's going to begin to pull away here. He's just so much faster around the whole track. I mean, obviously the straightaways are probably keeping Jay Mulder fairly close, but Mulder, I think he's going to need to try to get a little more aggressive and push it a little harder here to try to get around the track. As the big thing for Mulder here is, I mean, he's got a 16-second gap to the car behind him, so he definitely has some room to be a little aggressive here as Henry Klappert just absolutely keeps eating these curbs here. And meanwhile, Michael Thorpe, he's closed another half a second here to Brian Zinn as they go down the straightaway. We'll see what happens here, but Thorpe right now seems like he's getting faster. I'm not sure if Zinn maybe popped it into a low fuel mode and is potentially saving or backing off or what. But Thorpe seems like he's found his groove here in that Mercedes as he's really catching our leader Zinn here. He gets a little bit of a rough exit off the hairpin. That'll allow Zinn to pull away down the front straightaway here as these guys are about to probably put on a good show here. Brian Zinn, he's been part of a few good battles for the lead here in this series. He got wrecked at Daytona early week 1. That wasn't how he wanted to start a season. He fired right back at Nürburgring as him and Sky McGurk battled for pretty much the whole race. McGurk made a late race mistake, which allowed Zinn to capitalize and take the win there. And last week at Okayama, Zinn, he won that one fairly clean and easy. And right now here at Long Beach, it looks like he might have some competition from Thorpe, but at the moment, Zinn has been in control of this one. As Jay Mulder, he's actually losing time to Henry Klappert, and that's huge for Klappert because he definitely just wants to get as many positions as he can, and as quick as that 34 was, I mean, he's got to just stop eating those curbs, and I think he'll catch Mulder. It's just unfortunate the way he lost a podium here. As Garrett A. White, he has to go on a charge now as he's going to have to try to put the pedal to the metal here and wind around this course as quick as he can to get to Michael Thorpe and Brian Zinn. And Paul Granata, he still has about 2 more minutes on pit road getting that car serviced. So we'll see what happens when that 04 comes out. If maybe he can catch a break, somebody else damages their car and wrecks out, and Granata can gain a position or two, maybe notch a top 5 here. As Thorpe right there is still about the same gap as it was last time around to Brian Zinn right here. As the top 3 are all different manufacturers. In fact, I think the rest of the field here is all Lambos. So the Lambo being the most popular car this season by far. I've definitely seen more guys driving the Lambo in comparison to the BMW and the Merc. But however, it was McGurk and the Merc and, wow, that rhymed, and Brian Zinn and the BMW, who were 2 of the quicker cars throughout the season. And even early on in the season at Daytona, Parker White, he won in a BMW. John Cannizzaro, he ran second most of that race in a Merc. And right here, it's surely proving its worth because now Brian Zinn and Michael Thorpe, I mean, these guys, the BMW and the Merc, they've been dueling it out all season long, and although the Merc hasn't won any races yet this season, Michael Thorpe could be the first to finally get it out as a bridesmaid position. It's all dependent right here, though, on what Brian Zinn does. It seemed like when Thorpe was catching on Zinn, that Zinn kind of got it back in gear. I'm not sure whether or not he was saving. Like I said, he changed the field mapping or what, but Zinn gets loose right there exiting the hairpin. I just think Thorpe, the way he exits the hairpin is kind of weird. He just gets himself right up on that outside wall, and as close proximity as he is, I just don't think it's giving him good exits. He just isn't being as smooth on the exits. He's kind of just widening his arc out, and I think that's the crucial thing there. As Thorpe continues to just lurk right there, he's just watching right now. And back here, Looks like Jay Mulder got the wall a little bit there, exiting the hairpin. He gained a couple tenths on Garrett A. White, and then immediately lost some of it. But don't look now, because Henry Klappert, oh, he's around. Klappert is around, and I was just about to mention how Klappert had gained about 5 seconds on Jay Mulder. Well, that 34 goes around, and he's in the outside wall here in the hairpin. That 34 is struggling here. He went from top to bottom very quick in terms of positioning here. And man, Michael Thorpe, he's lost about a second to Brian Zinn. So right now, lots of interesting things here. And Paul Granata, he's back out on track. And he might make this one a little bit interesting, because obviously Granata, he doesn't really care anymore. He's just out here to run some laps, as we're almost halfway through this one here. And looks like Klappert, he's going to go to the inside of Granata. Granata's going to give it to him as the lead lap car. But Klappert has to run a little bit because Sean Giroux is right here. That's for position. So Klappert has to try to hope Granata kind of backs off a little bit, doesn't try to put too much pressure on him here. As these guys go down the long straightaway here, they go into the corner, and Granata, he kind of blows the corner really wide there. Not sure what happened there, but he missed it for sure. And now Sean Giroux is going to have to try to manage the lap traffic here, as Granata really slow in the hairpin here. And oh, Henry Klappert almost hits the barrier. Oh, contact, I think. A little bit of contact potentially here between Giroux and Klappert. And oh my goodness, this is going to be a good battle here for this position here for P5, as Klappert and Giroux are going to have to go at it now. And Giroux's going to send it in on Granata, who breaks a little early there. Granata's kind of in the way right now. He's splitting. He blocks Henry Klappert. Oh my gosh. Paul Granata is really messing with Klappert right now. If I'm not 34, I'm getting mad at the 04 right now. He's just in the way right now at the moment. And it's really hurting him here as Granata gets loose coming off the exit of that corner. And Klappert, he's watching the 66 fade away. That 34 has to get by Granata quickly here. As Sean Giroux, he pulls away to about a 1.5 second gap here over Klappert for P5. We'll see if Klappert's able to run it back down. As I said, he was the second fastest car on track earlier, and now he's not. Man, Paul Granata right there, though. He's definitely, like I said, he doesn't really have much to race for here. He's on track, maybe hoping to gain a couple positions. And what a perfect way to gain a couple positions. You hold up the two guys battling for fifth, maybe make them take each other out, head on the pit road, get some repairs. And maybe that's a way Granata could really turn up the heat here and put something together for position, as Sean Giroux just pulls away down the front straightaway here. And as they head into turn one, man, oh, Paul Granata, I think he just stuffed it in the barrier. And he's rolling backwards on track now. That 04 has not had the greatest of races here in this one. He's kind of been all over the place, and he pulls off to the side. I'm not sure if he's towing back to pit road here. Doesn't want to drive it by. As here comes the leaders. And Granata is rolling. I'm not sure what's going on there. Granata's rolling, so not 100% sure what's going on there. Meanwhile, I'm trying to stick with this battle for fifth because it was really intense. And I think Klappert is still faster than Sean Giroux. Right now, he's just being held up here as we've got, oh, Henry Klappert, a little bit of a network issue there. Hopefully that clears itself up here and he can get himself back to Giroux, because, man, that 34, he's having to work really hard to get back to him here. And oh, he gets the inside wall. Maybe I should stop watching guys here, as oh, Paul Granata is riding the wall right there. I'm not sure if Granata has major damage potentially and he's just trying to limp that thing around. Does he have more repairs? I am not sure what's happening to that 04. Like I said, he's had a really rough race, and he's going very slow here. I'm not 100% sure why. He shouldn't have to go that slow here. I think he should be fine as he pulls over on the straightaway. I'm not sure if he's just trying to get close to the wall potentially. I'm really not sure what he's doing here. I'm trying to find out where the closest car on track to him would be. Looks like Sean Giroux and Henry Klappert. So I'm really not sure what Granata's doing here as he's just limping this thing around. He puts it back in the wall. I'm not sure if he has steering damage maybe. That's why he's taking it so slow, can't get around the track. I'm really not sure what's going on here with this 04. He's just struggling here right now as the leaders are coming up right behind him here. So we'll see. Oh, Michael Thorpe, he fishtails it there coming off exit of the corner. And they're going to fly right on by Granata here as he's still limping it around. And Garrett White, he's coming around. We'll see if he gets to Granata here, which he should. As we'll see if Granata gets it down pit road here. He took an interesting pit road entrance the first time he had a lot of damage. Pit road entry is on the front straightaway, but there is a way to get to it from back here, which is to drive through that coned area back there, which is how Granata did it in the first place. And it looks like he'll go around and put it into the inside wall, exiting the hairpin, with P3 Garrett White nowhere near him here. So there's Granata back onto pit road as you see back there where those cones are, that's the initial entrance Granata took. As Sean Giroux is a lap down, looks like some guys came into pit at halfway. Looks like Giroux and Mulder came in, and so that moves Klappert to fourth at the moment, but he will have to pit, so he'll probably lose those positions back again. As we see here, Garrett White is coming around to actually lap Jay Mulder here, which will be good for White, as that'll really confirm him to be able to hold that position. Not sure if Mulder may have had issues coming on to pit road or what, but I really don't think Mulder should have lost a whole lap on pit road. He was only about 4 seconds behind Garrett White entering pit road, so we'll monitor here and see when the leaders come down to pit road, as the fuel run here should be about 30 minutes of time. We are about 25 minutes into this race, so any time now really these guys can come in, as they've split it about halfway. And like I said, Brian Zinn, he could have also been on a lower fuel mapping, but that could also be the case here for Michael Thorpe, as he's lost himself a couple of seconds to Zinn, as Zinn just continues to put down consistency. And he's just doing a really good job there in that 73 as Garrett White comes through the left and right handers here. We'll see if he comes around to pit. That 26 machine. Looks like he'll stay it out here. Garrett White, he won Nashville on Thursday night in the JV Designs Truck Series. Unfortunately, barely missed out on the JV Designs Truck Series Final Four. Guy who didn't miss out is the guy who's had a really rough day today, Paul Granata. As and now I'm taking a look at it here, and I think Jay Mulder, he may have lost more time than he thinks he did, because he took tires on that pit stop. Yeah, Jay Mulder, he had a 40.8 second pit stop. I'm not sure if he knows that he doesn't have to take tires, but looks like he did, and we'll see here what happens with Klappert as he comes around. Is he going to pull it into pit road? He does. Henry Klappert comes into pit, and we'll see here how he cycles out with Jay Mulder and Sean Giroux. We'll see if he takes tires or not. I would assume he doesn't. As Brian Zinn comes around, he's probably going to lap Klappert here unless he comes into pit this time, and he does not. Michael Thorpe, he's riding that wall right there. A little bit of an interesting take there. We'll see what happens with Garrett White here to see if he comes down to pit. As oh, Jay Mulder spins in front of Garrett White. White has to check up, and Jay Mulder will now go a lap down to Garrett White, as Mulder's kind of falling apart here in the second half of this race. Yeah, Michael Thorpe, he's kind of falling apart too. He's lost a couple seconds to Zinn. So we'll see what the call is here. I believe Klappert took more than just fuel. He took tires too, maybe, or he had a penalty of some sort, or maybe he just took too much fuel. He lost time to Sean Giroux, but no worries here, because Giroux overdrives turn one, and here comes Klappert out of pit road. How long does it take Giroux to get turned around here? Looks like he's turned around right there. So here comes Mulder and here comes Klappert. We have 3 cars very close together here for P4. And this is going to come at the advantage of the 34 and ultimately at the loss of the 51 and the 66 because of all the time they lost. And that mistake by Giraud, a pretty key one there, because I believe Jay Mulder is faster than him. And I believe that, honestly, if he gets back to the pace he had earlier, Klappert is faster than both of them here. So this could be really interesting to see how this phases out, because these guys are not separated by by much, as Mulder is about only 2.5 seconds behind Giraud, and Klappert is just about 3 seconds behind those guys. So ultimately we'll see what happens here as Jay Mulder down the straightaway. Already he gains quite a bit of time on Giraud as they wrap their way around this beautiful road course here in Southern California. And around the hairpin, Giraud, he gets a bad hairpin exit. Looks like Jay Mulder drove it up the hill just a bit, but man, Jay Mulder, he's down to 1.8 seconds there on him. Henry Klappert, he did not get a good hairpin exit here, as right now it looks like it might be down to these two to try to throw on a battle here for position as Giraud overcooks the corner again. That'll easily give Mulder the position. We'll see what happens with Klappert here. And man, Sean Giraud, back-to-back laps, he just completely misses turn 1. Not sure what's going on there. Maybe he has his ABS settings messed up or something. But that 66, a couple crucial mistakes there as he messes that one up. And Paul Granata is back out on track once again. Oh, Henry Klappert's around. Oh, my goodness, he almost kills Sean Giraud. And that's the same corner Klappert spun earlier as well. As I just don't believe that Klappert really planned out for the cold tires, I guess. I don't know. Maybe Giraud as well. Giraud misses his braking zone back-to-back laps after pitting, and Klappert spins in the same corner as he did on those cold tires. So I guess ultimately the benefit here is all for that 51 of Mulder, as Giraud's 10 seconds behind him, and Klappert just pounded the barrier right there. Not sure what that 34 is doing anymore, but he is absolutely destroyed here, as neither of the leaders have come into pit yet. That makes me wonder if they really were saving fuel on the fuel mapping. As Michael Thorpe and Brian Zinn, they continue to just keep driving here as the leaders of this race, and it's a pretty close gap still. It's still under 4 seconds, which ultimately, when you look at the length of this track and you realize it's a road course, it's not that bad. I mean, 4 seconds at an oval, that's pretty bad, especially if it's an oval like Bristol or something like that. Dirt track, 4 seconds is bad, period, whether you're at a 3/8, a half mile, or, I mean, who knows what kind of dirt track you're at, but 4 seconds is generally pretty bad. And, man, I'm interested to see here what happens with Brian Zinn and Michael Thorpe. See when these guys pit, and there it is. Brian Zinn comes around, he pits. Michael Thorpe, he also comes into pit. We'll see what happens with the fuel run here, and this is a perfect time for Garrett A. White to try to gain some ground on these guys, as we'll see how his short pit pays off. But down on pit road, we'll see. Hopefully Brian Zinn made no mistakes, had that pit limiter on, and was under speed as he pulls into his pit stall up here. And we'll see if he gets serviced or not. I believe he's just getting fuel. Michael Thorpe, he messes up his pit entry there. That'll cost him some time. And right here, just waiting to see. Zinn takes a little bit less fuel than Thorpe. It looks like Thorpe took a lot more fuel. And Thorpe may have taken more tires as well. I believe Thorpe either took tires or he had a speeding penalty of some sort. He's still on pit road. He's taking tires. What an interesting call from Michael Thorpe. He's taking tires here, and he may have just lost this race. Normally, this isn't necessarily a sprint race, but a race like this, you're going about a stint and a half on tires, and normally in typical endurance races, a stint is about 60 minutes in these things. That's about as long as the fuel run is, and I recall running the 24 Hours of Daytona, you double stint on your tires, so it's amazing to me that Thorpe comes around here to take tires, and we'll see if Garrett A. White can catch Thorpe here and see if there's going to be a battle here. As coming off the exit of pit road, there's Thorpe. Here's Garrett A. White coming around the front straightaway here. He's got a little bit to go to get to Thorpe, but he'll ultimately gain quite a bit of time as Thorpe will come out in front of Granata. Here's Garrett A. White. So Garrett A. White ultimately closes quite a bit of time to Thorpe, and you've got to wonder how well those fresh tires are going to work. He can't push them as hard as he would on the more worn out tires. So it'll be interesting to see here if Garrett White can make something happen and get to Michael Thorpe for P2 here. As I look through the field, man, Henry Klappert and Sean Giroux have just struggled lately, and Klappert, he has a lot of damage and he's sliding that thing everywhere. I'm not sure what's going on with that 34. He just does not seem like he has the speed he had earlier. And Michael Thorpe is right there on that straightaway. Here comes Garrett A. White. Garrett A. White, he's going to have a little bit of benefit here. He's going to have the draft down this straightaway from Paul Granata. That'll be a little crucial for Garrett A. White as long as Granata doesn't play out to be a huge factor here, as Garrett A. White almost slaps the side of that wall. And these two are newly formed teammates, as Granata, who co-owns Nova Sim Racing, brought on Garrett A. White to be his teammate as White left Fox Motorsports, and Henry Klappert's on pit road. He's got damage, folks, and that might call it a race for the 34, as that'll confirm him P2 in the points, unless something very drastic happens to Brian Zinn here in the next 11 minutes. As Zinn ultimately, that tire call from Michael Thorpe, I'm still a little in awe about it. I mean, I don't think you take tires in this situation. Perhaps it was an accident, and he may not have meant to take tires, but man, that I'm still a little confused. I mean, the tire call from Michael Thorpe was absolutely interesting. I mean, Garrett A. White, though, he's closed that down to about 3.5 seconds, and like I said earlier, he's pretty fast, and honestly, I think if he didn't have, oh, maybe not, never mind, he puts it in the wall right there. I was going to say, if Garrett A. White didn't have that issue he had earlier in the race where Ethan Harrison just plowed into the rear end of him, I think Garrett A. White would have been a top 3 car for sure. I mean, I think honestly, it's easier to look at the mistakes of other drivers. Of course, we could say Henry Klappert, if he doesn't eat those curbs and self-spin it, that he's a top 3 car. It's easy to say if Thorpe doesn't take tires, he has a chance at the win. But ultimately, Garrett A. White was really the only guy who's had a mistake this race that wasn't self-inflicted. And as I say that, he does that. So he's definitely pushing that car a lot harder, and he is ultimately making some self-inflicted mistakes. But I don't blame necessarily a lot of this on Garrett A. White after that incident he had with Ethan Harrison earlier on. That was clearly all Harrison's fault, just getting into the rear end of White. And honestly, even with those couple of mistakes, White still isn't that far back on Michael Thorpe. He's just lost a few tenths. Look at how he's sliding it off the corner here. Garrett A. White is going to make these last 9 minutes count here for him, as Brian Zinn through the fountain. He can back off his pace. He's good. Unless he has to save fuel, but even then, that's another good reason to back off pace. I mean, that 73 doing a great job here. And ultimately, you got to look at what happened when we had that cluster of cars come off of pit road. Jay Mulder, Sean Giroux, and Henry Klappert. Well, Klappert's wrecked himself. He's out of this race. And Giroux, he missed his braking zone 2 laps in a row and ultimately lost ground to Jay Mulder, as Mulder, he just kept it cautious. And that's all he did. And ultimately it paid off more for Mulder than it did the other two, because the other two ended up with costly mistakes. And well, Paul Granata's back on pit road with his 3rd major repair of the day, as that 04, man, that blue and green car, that was pretty at the beginning of the race, I'd say. I don't think it's been pretty since the pace lap, as Granata's just beating that car down. Meanwhile, up here, it looks like Michael Thorpe, he had a little bit of a network issue there, but that's not the issue I'm looking at here. Garrett A. White, like I said, he's going to make the last 9 minutes work, and, well, he's working for it here. Look how close he is to the walls. Look how he's just pushing that car. He's closed quite a bit of time to Michael Thorpe. In fact, it went from 4 seconds down to 1.2 that lap alone, and now he might have a little bit of draft here on Thorpe. In fact, actually, he might be just out of the draft here, as Michael Thorpe just trying to hold on for P2 now after he looked early on to be quick enough to challenge Brian Zinn for the win. 7 minutes remain as they hit the line, which means about 5-6 laps left in this one. And man, Garrett White, he doesn't quite get that good of a hairpin exit. That'll cost him some time, but I think through the early portion of this track, Garrett White is faster, and ultimately, if he can gain enough ground on him there, get in his draft, then Garrett White might be able to challenge for P2 here to end the Keystone Corner GT3 Challenge season, as both these guys making their first starts of the season. Michael Thorpe is making his first ever start here in WORC, and oh no! Garrett White. Aggressive goes around the 26. He closed all that time to Michael Thorpe. And unfortunately, man, that's tough. That's going to sting. He had it down to a second of time on Thorpe for P2. And unless Thorpe makes a crucial mistake here, that Mercedes is going to head to P2 on the charts, as ultimately Brian's in. I'm still a little confused. The 134 took tires. He was right there with Zin the whole race until he took tires. And now, I mean, Zin, look, he's got some left front damage. Zin has clearly made a mistake or two somewhere around here, but it doesn't really matter because it's not going to hurt Zin. He's got a 47-second lead to Michael Thorpe. It's absolutely insane. I mean, and you look at these guys, though. Garrett White. Like I said, I was talking about it. Those self-inflicted mistakes are really the ones that you look at. Well, if he didn't self-spin, he'd be better off. And at first I was saying, well, Garrett White, he got plowed by Ethan Harrison in the hairpin, like lap 1 or lap 2. And now, I mean, Garrett White, he gained all that ground back. He took advantage of Michael Thorpe's interesting pit road decision, to say the least, on that one. And ultimately, man, you just push it so hard. I mean, time's running down. You've got under 10 minutes to go in this race, and around goes the 26. I mean, honestly, it was a good comeback for that 26 though of Garrett White. He was running well, and ultimately it just didn't pay off for him here. And Sean Giroux, he's gaining a little bit of time on Jay Mulder, but I don't think it'll be enough, as Henry Klappert and Paul Granata are gone. I don't believe either of them will be able to rejoin the track in time. Klappert might, but I don't think it'll be worth it here, as Granata really beat that 04 up. He's had quite a few axle changes in this one, and I'm honestly surprised he didn't blow it up the couple times he spun, as that 04 just had a rough race. Man, that's gotta sting though. If you're the 26, you look at that, you almost had P2, you had him right there in your grasp late in the race, and you just drive it over too hard, and around you go. And I mean, honestly, the mistakes, they pile up, and that's what costs you in racing, and that's a crucial thing. Sometimes racing is honestly just about not necessarily the best cars, but the guys who make the least mistakes. I mean, you could have the best setup on iRacing, you could have the best road setups available. You know, you could have Max Benecke whipping you up some setups there, but I mean, ultimately, I mean, you could have those good setups, but you spin a few times and you're behind the guy who's only spun once or twice. Ultimately, because sometimes it just comes down to those mistakes, and especially in road racing, that's where mistakes are key. I mean, you can make a mistake on oval, maybe you overdrive the corner a little bit, run the wall, you lose the lead. Oh well, you're right there, you're just a couple tenths back. You just have to get in this draft, get back at it. On dirt oval, man, you mess up a slide job, you throw it in there, you can't quite clear him, and so he pulls off to your outside, he clears you, you just go at it again. But in road, it's a little bit different. I mean, you have more corners to mess up in, and I mean, you self-spin a little bit. Well, it takes a little bit for you to get going. There's no caution here on the road course. So, I mean, if you're stuck on the track, on oval, you get that caution. You just go to the back of the field, whatever. But you get a reset, you get a chance. When you're on road, there's no yellow. If you're stuck on the track, as long as Garrett White was, or even earlier when Henry Klappert, he took forever to get it going. I mean, ultimately, those mistakes, you're losing 10, 12 seconds to the guy in front of you, and that could end your race unless he makes a mistake. But then, even then, does he have a big enough gap for that mistake to really matter? That's why mistakes really add up here on these road courses. And with under 3 minutes left, Brian's in. Great job on his part. He has really, he's really put that pedal to the metal here today. And honestly, like I said, that call by Michael Thorpe to take tires, Um, and I have word here actually that Henry Klappert, he actually got penalized for not serving his repairs on pit road. Apparently the 34, obviously he had some repairs that needed to be done, and he got penalized by race officials there for not serving that damage, which that happens actually. That's part of the reason Paul Granata comes in pits. If you're not familiar with iRacing, most iRacers, we call it the meatball flag, and pretty much it's a black flag. It's got this brownish red circle right in the middle. It looks kind of like a meatball, and that flag is telling you your car is so destroyed you have to come pit. And ultimately that's kind of, it's, I guess it's not really a penalty, it's more of a warning. But if you don't come and serve that flag, then that counts as a black flag. It'll disqualify you entirely from the race. So ultimately that's probably why Paul Granata's been down pit road a few times. That's why Klappert's down there now, and that's something that these guys are really gonna have to avoid. As I'm not sure if Jay Mulder made a mistake, but this is for position here with just a couple laps left in this one here. 2 laps to go, and Sean Giroux has caught Jay Mulder for P4. We could have a battle on our hands if Mulder makes a big enough mistake here. As Brian Zinn, taking a look at him, he's about halfway around the track. And oh, Garrett A. White, he's down to 5 seconds on Michael Thorpe as Thorpe is going through the hairpin now. We've got a couple of close battles here late in this race for position. As I'm not sure if Thorpe made a small mistake, but Garrett A. White cut that time in half, and honestly, I don't think Garrett A. White was 6 seconds faster than Thorpe, so, ooh, Jay Mulder almost gets the that little outlet there in the wall. As we'll see if Sean Giroux can capitalize and take a position away from Jay Mulder late in this one, or Michael Thorpe. We'll see if Garrett A. White can capitalize and take a position away from him, as those guys have 2 laps to settle it out. However, Brian Zinn, he'll get the white flag this time by 1 more lap left here at Long Beach. As, man, Brian Zinn, I'm still a little confused. I mean, Michael Thorpe was right there throughout the whole race. They come down for pit stops and he takes tires. I find that interesting here, but still a lap and a half left for Thorpe, as ultimately he lost so much time to Brian Zinn that taking tires put him pretty much a lap down. And Garrett A. White, he messes up his corner there. Not sure what'll happen there with that, as Jay Mulder and Sean Giroux are on their last lap here, as they're a lap down. So Giroux, he's a couple seconds back on Mulder. We'll see what he can do in that 66, see if maybe he can capitalize and get to this 51 here for that position, as Henry Klappert is on track in front of him, so watch out for the lapped cars. We'll see if they come by. And up here, on their last lap now, Michael Thorpe and Garrett A. White, they're quite a bit separated here, so it'll take a mistake from Thorpe. But ultimately here, coming through the final corners, your champion. He's won 3 races this season. A good run for Brian Zinn, as no matter who raced or how many raced, Zinn was always at the top of the field, and he'll come off of the final hairpin here at Long Beach and claim himself as the champion of the series and the race winner. So congratulations to Brian Zinn, as he takes home a race win and a championship win here in that 73. Back here for P2, looks like Garrett A. White, he doesn't have enough time to get to Michael Thorpe here. As in the final corner, Jay Mulder, oh, Sean Giroux overdrives the hairpin. Jay Mulder got the draft from Henry Klappert a little bit there, and Mulder will hold on to P4. As coming down the straightaway here, Garrett A. White gets loose. He's going to lose quite a bit of time to Thorpe, and unless Thorpe makes a drastic mistake here in the final corners, he's going to get P2 here in his WORC race, his first ever WORC race, excuse me. And Thorpe clean through the hairpin. He'll claim P2 as Garrett A. White. So close, but those mistakes, man, they hinder him down to a podium. As Brian Zinn comes around the track, he's got a little bit of left front damage, but nothing too major, as ultimately the Pink Pig, as he called it, is going to come home and take its 3rd win of the season here. Man, this is good run for Zinn, and He doesn't normally do burnouts. So I want to see here, Zin, he's got the championship. He's definitely a road guy at heart. I want to see, does Zin do some burnouts here to celebrate? Does he pull it off, whip it around a little bit, burn it down? Or is he just running laps? I'm not really sure how Brian Zinn is celebrating here. Oh, that's how he is celebrating. Brian Zinn will pile it into the fountain here. That's an expensive celebration. We'll be right back here, folks. Post-race with interviews. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this commercial break. All right, folks, so welcome back here to WORC TV for post-race interviews now after the championship finale here in the Keystone Corner GT3 Challenge as Brian Zinn has won the championship and the race here. Brian, welcome to the WORC TV booth, man. You're a champion now, 3 wins on the season, so it really didn't matter who raced or how many people raced. You came out here, you put yourself up front, and you close it out with a good race here at Long Beach. Run me through early on. It looked like Michael Thorpe was close to you there. Do you think the no tire call was ultimately what helped you just manage your stuff here late in the race, keep it calm and win this thing?
Yeah, that definitely contributed to it. Michael and I are good friends. We go back many years, and so we were actually kind of joking around after the practice times because we have a habit of when we come to Long Beach, we seem to almost run the same exact times or be within thousandths of a second of each other. So I knew it was going to be a good battle, but I was kind of relaxed knowing that I didn't have any immediate pressure. I know Henry was still running, so I had to keep my eye on him and see how he was doing. But my ultimate goal was to come out and win and control what I can control. So I hadn't had a problem with tire wear during the rest of the season, so I didn't think that taking or not taking tires would be a concern around Long Beach. So that's kind of why I went the route I went.
All right, man. Well, ultimately, as you said, you put it all in your control. And sometimes race car drivers, they have things that are just out of their control and things happen. They get wrecked. Somebody wrecks in front of them. They have nowhere to go. Something like that. That's usually the iRacing way of things being out of control. But ultimately here at Daytona, you had something out of your control. You kind of got turned into turn one. I don't exactly remember what happened, if maybe you just lost it or whatever happened. But ultimately, you had to rebound a little bit from that spin or whatever happened in turn one at Daytona to get a top five finish. And early on, you were kind of in a struggle. But then next week at Nürburgring, you and Sky McGurk and Henry Klappert from Daytona came into Nürburgring. And you and Sky battled it out. You put it in your control. You won Nürburgring. You came out to Okayama last week and grabbed the easy win there. And ultimately, you put yourself in control of this, and you kept yourself mistake free. I mean, do you really think there was much more you could have done to maybe try to pull off a sweep at Daytona and cap off the 4 race season with winning everything?
Um, I wish I could say that there was more I could do. You know, Daytona in this league has been kind of my Achilles heel from the season before, and then in GT3s this season. It's a track I love. I just need to get my monkey off the back there. But I knew looking at the schedule that I would be strong at Nürburgring. It's a track that I love. Okayama, I was okay at. So I was really happy to see things kind of fall in my favor there, knowing that Long Beach was the season finale, and I'm always strong at Long Beach. I always love racing that track. It's kind of my second home track after Coda. So yeah, I've had a lot of stiff competition at Daytona too. David and John and Parker. I mean, those guys are no joke. I know David very well from last season battling, and I came within 5 points of beating him there. So I kind of had a chip on my shoulder going into it this season. So I'm kind of bummed David wasn't around to fight for it, but hopefully next time out he'll be around and we can make some entertainment for it.
Well, for sure. And ultimately, our goal here is to bring the GT3 cars back for a championship run here. And right now, though, our focus, we're going to put some fun on. We're going to have a fun little summer series here, and we're going to bring the Mazda Miatas here. And Long Beach is one of the tracks they'll be coming to. You think we'll see you around there for some Miata action, and maybe we'll see you grab another one at Long Beach?
Yeah, I might just have to make an appearance for the sake of Long Beach. So, if the GT3s come back and if that new Porsche GT3R is going to be involved, then you can bet that I'm going to be there and behind the wheel of the Porsche because I love that car. So, I hope to see it come back. I love the racing in GT3 cars. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
For sure. Like I said, that's the plan. Once Summer Series ends, we'll be back here in the GT3 cars, and I can confirm with you that Porsche GT3 will definitely be included because I've already had a talk with a couple of the admins, and they're looking forward to that release as well coming this June. So, congratulations once again on the championship, the win, and we appreciate you being here week in and week out. You've been very dedicated to work, and from me and the rest of the admin crew here, everyone involved at work, we just appreciate having you around, and we hope to see you around more in the future. Until then, congratulations on the championship and the win. Um, and before I let you go, Brian, for the final time this season, do you have anybody you want to thank?
I just want to thank the guys at work. It's been fun. It got off to a rocky start with the mixed class stuff. But being around it more and more and seeing kind of the ebb and flow and things and seeing how you guys run things, it's been fun to be around. I want to thank you, Braison, for broadcasting and commentating on the races. I want to give my buddy Michael a shout out for giving me a good race today at Long Beach. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to the next season, and I'll be back in that Porsche.
All right, man. Congratulations, and I guess the BMW goes down in retirement as a championship car for you, as you sound like you're looking very forward to that Porsche. So we'll see you around, Brian. Congratulations on the win, the championship, and just an overall great season. 3 wins. I mean, like I said, it doesn't seem like however many cars we had or whoever was here, they were second place to you. So congratulations, Brian, and we'll see you around.
Thank you.
All right, guys, that was Brian Zinn, our champion here this season. Now we're going to bring in P2 in the race, which was Michael Thorpe, his buddy here. Michael, you're in the WORC TV booth. Do you have a copy, bud?
Clear, clear,
All right,
loud and
man.
clear.
Well, congratulations on P2 here, your first ever WORC race. The main question I got to ask you there, you took tires on pit road. Was that a mistake? Was that a strategy call? What went down on that?
It was a strategy call. I just took way too much fuel. I wasn't trying to do that. I really thought I had my crew chief set up to actually do that manually for me, but no, apparently I didn't.
All right, man. Well, ultimately here you still get second. You hold off a late race charge from Garrett A. White as you kind of capitalized on him making a couple of mistakes there and late in the race that ultimately would help push you forward here. Well, ultimately, unfortunately, this is the last GT3 race of this season. We plan on bringing it back after the summer series ends. Do you plan on making any appearances during the summer? We're going to pull some Miatas out here. We'll be right here at Long Beach and several other road courses. So hopefully that'll be fun. Do you think we might see you around?
Um, well, I am an older racer. I will admit that. I'm not much of a road racer, but if it comes to it, I might be down to it.
Well,
It's Miata seems very interesting.
well, I mean, work here, I have to admit a little bit, as much as I love pushing this road and dirt oval stuff, out of our 3 leagues, our oval league is definitely the premier series. So, I mean, you're definitely more than welcome to come run with us. The Truck Series Championship is on Thursday night at Las Vegas. We'd love to have you there for that. And we're bringing the street stocks for our summer series, so that'll also be a fun series as well. But yeah, we would love to have you here more with us, Michael. And congratulations on P2, of course. Before I let you go, do you have anybody you want to thank tonight?
Well, I want to thank Zen for actually having the fun battle. That's for sure. Because I knew it was gonna be tough to beat him because I raced him before, and Long Beach has always been this track, and it's always been my pet peeve to beat him here.
Well,
So thanks for the challenge, then.
all right. Well, congratulations on P2, and hopefully, like I said, we'll see you around. You say you're an oval racer. Well, I can tell you, you're definitely in one of the right places. We run everything here. So, congratulations, Michael, on P2, and we'll see you around.
All right, thank you.
All right, guys. Michael Thorpe making his first ever work start, and this is a little bit of a joke, I guess I should say. Garrett A. White um, is not here, so in his place, he has offered Jay Mulder to do his interview for him. So Jay, welcome to the work booth. It's been a while. How are you doing?
Good, good.
All right, Jay. Well, I know you're here for Garrett A. White, so I guess I have to ask you. There was a little bit late in that race after pit stops where Sean Giroux and Henry Klappert were right there with you. In fact, they were ahead of you at one point, and you got by Giroux very easily there. And Klappert, do you think that being a little bit more cautious and consistent, kind of paid off in your favor here for you to hold on to P4?
Yeah. Tonight was all about just getting around the track, keeping the mistakes to a minimum, and I mean, at the end we were fourth place after just making as few mistakes as possible and keeping the car between the lines the whole race.
All right, man. Well, obviously P4, I mean, you don't really run here often. In fact, this was your first race of the season. I wish you would have raced more, but um, obviously it paid off in your favor. At least you finished where you started, so you can't say that you went down in positions. I guess my next question here is, I know you're a truck regular. Unfortunately, your championship defense has kind of come to an end as you barely missed out on making the Final Four. But you've had a good truck season, and now you can kind of go into Las Vegas with an open mind. So Thursday night, I know we'll be seeing you there. What are your thoughts, your plans? What do you got going there at Las Vegas? You think you're going to help your teammate Gino Mero, or you think you're just going to kind of go out there and do it yourself?
I think honestly, I'm gonna let the other guys fight out. I mean, we saw last season some guys made it their race, not the championship four, and that ultimately didn't make for a very good race. So honestly, I'm gonna try and stay out of their battle as much as I can, but also contend for position, contend for the win at the end of the day.
All right, man. Well, obviously we'll see you Thursday, and we thank you for being here tonight, Jay, helping the car count out here, and congratulations on your top five.
Thank
Oh
you.
wait, hang on. Before I let you go, do you have anybody you want to thank? Sorry, I almost forgot that part.
Well, on behalf of Garrett, he said, thank you to Fox Motorsports. He's head out after this season. And for myself, thank you to Doug Pools, Fry Designs, and Circle B Diecast. Helped me out a ton, and nice to have stuff on the car every week.
All right, Jay. Well, congratulations, man. We'll see you around. And like I say, yeah, congrats on the P5. I already got to this part.
Thank you. Have a great night.
All right, guys, you too. That was Jay Mulder, who was here to interview in honor of Garrett A. White. And now P2 in points. We're going to go ahead and give him an interview as the last one of the night here. Henry, you're in the WORC TV booth, bud. Do you have a copy?
Yes, I have a copy.
Well, Henry, some early race mistakes ultimately led to you ending up on pit road. You looked to be a top two fastest car on track early on. You were right there with those guys. Um, what do you think did it, consistency wise, that kind of propelled you to end up the way you did?
I don't know. I think I just basically had it over my head. Like I think I basically in my head like saying like, oh, I'm going to get second. It just basically karma just hit me hard and just basically screwed up.
All right. Well, ultimately, at least you can kind of admit a little bit of self mistake there, but ultimately not a bad season to look up on, as your team, Outlaw Racing, did end up clinching the team championship here in this one. So not only does Brian Zinn take the driver's championship from you, but at least you were able to still take a championship today, as like I said, your team wins the team championship. So congratulations to you guys at Outlaw Racing. And before I let you go, Henry, do you have anybody you want to thank?
I want to thank you for broadcasting and hosting the race for us. Hosting an awesome season for GT3. Basically that's it. I just want to thank all the sponsors.
All right, man. Well, Congratulations, Henry. P2 in the championship standings, your best championship finish yet in WORC, and obviously you haven't been iRacing as long as some of these guys you've been fighting for championships with, so ultimately you're starting to come into form. I think there's plenty more on the table for you here in the future. And hopefully we see you around. I know you're going to be there for that summer series, and maybe you'll have another
Yep.
shot at a championship there because those Miatas, I feel like they're going to play into your favor, man. So congratulations on P2 in the championship, and yeah, I guess I'll see you around.
All right. Thank you.
All right, guys, that was Henry Klappert. He got P2 in the championship. Unfortunately for him, uh, just wasn't enough to carry himself to the championship lead, but we thank everyone for tuning in to WORC TV. We thank everyone for racing this season in the Keystone Corner GT3 Challenge. It's been fun to watch these guys in these GT3 cars, and we will be back seeing these guys around next fall after the summer series. As I mentioned, Miatas are going to be here, and we've kind of leaked one race of the schedule because we will confirm Long Beach is going to be on that Miata schedule. So to everyone here at WORC, or everyone watching, we thank you guys for tuning in, and we hope you guys tune in for probably what's going to be the most exciting race of the season in the JB Designs Truck Series Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. Tune in here to WORC TV. It's going to be a showdown. 4 drivers fighting for the championship. Who will prevail? We've got